Good, good. Hi. This next lecture is in English. I hope that was clear in the program. I'd like to welcome our four guests today. Edоардо Peniche is with us, and we have Любомир Boжилov. We have Страци Kулинski, and we have Мирослава or Mira Симова. Welcome, guys. Now, obviously, normally I would introduce you guys in sort of a formal way, and I read you bios, which I'd like to not do because, one, we're a little late, but two, I hope you've all read the program. You have the app, so you can download it, see their lovely bios. I'd like to spend the time talking to you because I think that's better for you guys. So I'll just jump right into questions. We'll have sort of a Q&A at the end as well, but if you have sort of a burning question, raise your hand. There's a couple of people in the room who have a mic, and it's open to everyone. So with that, welcome again to this forum. I guess the point of the topic today is to explore the fact that you've chosen, well, you were abroad, you had your experience abroad, and then you chose to come back and develop professionally here. Obviously, you're all ahead of the game of some of these guys, and you're heads of companies, which is an exciting experience, but I think there's a lot of relevance for these guys as well. So I guess my first question is, how did your career sort of progress abroad? And what made you then decide to switch and come to Bulgaria? Obviously, in Edоардо's case, a little different because you initially were abroad. But anyway, it's an open question. Let's see how the conversation goes. Mira?
I guess being the only woman on the panel, I should start. It's a very typical ratio of management teams, by the way. Usually women are, even 25 is too much, usually less than that. But in our company, we're 60% women in the management team.
Yes.
Girl power. So yeah, I'm a typical Bulgarian, born here, raised here, lived here, and worked for a number of years. And then I moved abroad to Moscow, Stockholm, and London, one after the other. And then chose to come back with the same company. So our company is international, Pernod Ricard. We're in the spirits business, whiskey, vodka, and the rest, or as we say, conviviality business. And in our company, we really encourage and stimulate people to go abroad, gain some vertical, horizontal experience, extra experience in terms of different perception, different occasions, very different challenges in different markets. And then this is, in a way, a prerequisite to come back to a local market at a higher position. So I took advantage of that opportunity. And 3 years ago, came back to Bulgaria as the managing director of the business locally. And I would say that the challenges are different or similar depending on what markets you compare with. We are in Eastern Europe or Southern Europe sometimes, depending on the segmentation. And we have similar issues and similar challenges with many regional countries. But the one challenge or opportunity for you guys is that there is a bit of a lack of talent, of qualified talent in various fields in Bulgaria. So I think that Bulgarians who have studied abroad or locally, who have maybe gained some professional experience abroad, have a really good chance of demonstrating that knowledge, breadth of experience, and contact and multicultural, I'd say, years of working abroad with different cultures, and then bring that, the exposure, thank you, bring that back to the local market. So that's my story, but it's also the story of many of our colleagues who are really encouraged to go abroad and come back.
Did you say 60% of the people in your office were abroad before the discussion outside? Was it?
No. We're 60% women in the management of the company here, which is not very typical of the business. It's a very male business usually. No, but in terms of people abroad, we have a lot of programs to ensure this exchange, and especially from middle management up, this is very highly stimulated for people to go and gain a different
perspective,
higher or vertical, horizontal experience abroad. Yeah.
Edоардо, yourself, obviously, you're from Mexico, and you've worked in a variety of places. How does it that you transition to Bulgaria?
Yeah, quickly introduction of myself is I'm from Mexico. and I have been really a globetrotter. I have been living in 6 different countries for the last 10 years. Origin from Mexico, but living in China. I live in India. I live in Hungary. Then I went back to the US, and then I came to Bulgaria almost 3 years ago. So through my career, really exposing myself to different cultures has opened me the opportunity as well to have a different flavor of what the multinational environment it is. And we were discussing this earlier, but we encourage our associates here as well to go for that. Go and expose yourself out of Bulgaria, out of your home, of your country of origin, and then gain that international experience. Is priceless. At the moment that you decide to invest back and come back, you will feel yourself better equipped, and for sure your value price will be 10 times higher because of you gain experience, technically savvy, multiple languages, and you have already a regional or a global mentality that is very much appreciated by most of the companies. So multinational companies are continuously looking to invest on the talent that has been exposed and that is willing to come back and now bring this back, the knowledge into the society and to expand the wings inside the country. So that it worked for me, and I really highly recommend as well for many of you to get into that point.
Okay. Любомир, you represent the IT field, if you want to put it that way. If you take your experience.
Okay, but before to share it, just to ask the audience, how many of you actually worked or studied abroad?
Hopefully all of them, yes.
Okay, and how many of you are already in Bulgaria? Okay, so you already live here and came back?
About half of the people.
Okay, and how many of you are actually not Bulgarians or born in Bulgaria? Let's go that way. Anybody? No foreigners?
Everyone's
Okay.
Bulgarian.
So that's the audience. So similar to the colleagues here, I also came from abroad. I was 29 years old when I went to the States. Before this, I had my IT business in Bulgaria. The things were doing well, but I got this one chance with a green card to go to the States. And you ask how the career progressed. Usually when you go abroad, your career doesn't progress immediately. So you have to invest into your future. You have to take a step back before actually to start progressing. That was also a similar experience with me, although when I went to the States, I started my own business out there, which I sold and then made the step. However, for 16 years there, I was really looking to continuously study, work, and invest in my career, the family, and everything that I can do to enjoy the life out there. A couple of years ago, my family, basically I have 2 children, my wife is also in the IT field, we decided to come back, where it's basically the same experience. You have to do a step back. Regardless that you had this experience in different high-level positions abroad, the things are not the same. So for me it was again looking to start something new, which I think is very refreshing as well. Currently I work for a software group here, which is a Bulgarian company, and I'm Chief Technology Officer in the company, but although we call ourselves Bulgarian company, we have business in 60 other countries. So actually right now what I do is much more international and related to operations abroad than before. So that's in a nutshell.
Straci, yourself have been all over, from the US to Europe.
I have, and thanks for inviting me. It's great to see so many positive people around here. I'm not going to dwell on where I went and what I did because I think we all have very international experience. We're here because we wanted to talk about how people like you can stay in Bulgaria or have a career here or have a professional realization that's meaningful. These days I'm at the American University in Bulgaria. I graduated from the school with the first graduating class, and like many people at the time who wanted to realize their professional aspirations, I took off. I went to Russia at first, and I then was in the States and in other places. And now I came back because there's a passion project for me here, which is the American University. As a graduate and as an alum, I really want to see it succeed, and I want to see it help not just Bulgaria, but the whole region and the world. And I totally agree with the other panelists. There is a shortage of talent in Bulgaria. And I see a lot of talent that needs development, and I see a lot of energy and just constructive attitude. But there has to be kind of the supply and demand there. So the panelists here are these companies that are looking for people like you. And I would say don't necessarily go elsewhere, just try and start working for one of our companies or organizations. We at the American University in Bulgaria actually pride ourselves in being a bit of an oasis of a very different attitude and an environment and a value system that encourages individual thinking, that encourages critical thinking, constructive and creative problem solving. And this is what employers value. These are the traits and the skills that are going to help you succeed no matter where you go. So I would kind of encourage you to also consider AUBG as a place for your career. We're looking for a lot of management now. But I'll leave the plug for the university at this point. By the way, also in terms of the gender equality, we have about 50-50 in our management team and in the student population, and it's not a quota. It just naturally happens so, which really is another illustration of how everybody has a potential that can be realized. Just in terms of other comments, I'll leave it to the other questions, so in the interest of time. But think about also realizing your potential here, and I think you're here because of that. So if you're looking for marketing or recruiting careers, so we are definitely looking for people who can help us.
I think I want to touch upon something that you guys did. I mean, you mentioned challenge of finding talent. You all agreed with that, one of the challenges. And what other ones do you see in your professional careers, whether it's in FMCG or higher education or IT? What obstacles would you say that you yourself see, or opportunities in that sense? You said sometimes you have to take a step back. When you go abroad or you come back, which is not a challenge. What other things do you think these guys might face when they come back?
Okay, so as most of you probably are already back, I guess you experienced some differences of what you've seen or learned abroad and what you see back in Bulgaria. For me, the major, not obstacles, but differences were related to how the people are taking work here. So basically, majority of the people are looking somebody to tell them to do something or somebody to do something for them. While my experience, previous experience was a little bit different, and specifically in the States, people that are going into more kind of supervisory managerial positions or leadership positions, they're those that are forming the job opportunity and the position themselves. Usually they take much more initiative, and that's something that I don't see here. So I would expect people that have this experience abroad to have these additional skills to be much more proactive, to also have ability to communicate. In most cases, what we see, especially in the IT, is specifically in Bulgaria, people are coming with good technical skills, but, and this is something probably that we just actually had a brief conversation before this panel. People are lacking ability to present, to do planning.
The salesmanship, if you will.
Yeah, and having so-called soft skills. So that's something that I believe you have probably something as, let's call it, distinctive advantage from people that had their education or most of their career being here in Bulgaria.
Okay. Mira, do you have any comment?
Yeah, I very much agree about the soft skills. It's beyond presentation skills, many others. And indeed, those of you, and I see the majority of you have had some experience abroad, either studying or working or both, you clearly have an advantage here, and I think it's so important to use your advantages, just like selling a product or selling a destination or having a reputation of Bulgaria as a destination for employment. It's really important to take advantage of that because it's necessary in every step of your work, of your career. And this is something that I also noticed, that we need to come back to the basics sometimes. In an already very well-functioning team, we needed to upweight some soft skills to make sure that everybody is equally equipped to progress and to be able to go abroad, gain experience and come back.
And don't forget that you hasn't stopped learning. You went out, you learned, you came back, you continue learning. And thinking about investing in yourself, that means dedicate your time on those particular skills that you know that you're needed for improve. Emotional intelligence is one of the famous topics that all of us as managing directors are looking into our associates, is how we can develop that piece where you know yourself much better, that you are better equipped to be more proficient in what you do. But you have a big advantage. You were already outside, you took you should take in a lot of credit because you took yourself out of your country, your home, your family, everything. You left everything behind. You went out, you exposed yourself, you gained experience, and you came back. So you have a huge advantage. You should be using that towards yourself and for developing better. But don't forget to be humble. That piece is important, right? Is know yourself, where do you need to invest yourself, and then continue learning. And don't let that the environment itself really evolve you to drag you down and bring you to be one of the rest when you have already stood up and really moved out. So believe in yourself, that's important, and don't really forget that you are already special after you have gone through that journey, and then come back.
Straci, if I could ask you, what do you think makes Bulgaria attractive for an employer? I mean, obviously you represent very different fields and you've all chosen to develop in Bulgaria. What do you think makes Bulgaria attractive? If we could spin it to the positive end.
I mean, it could be very different for every one of us in a different situation, at a different stage in your life. I can only talk about my experience, and hopefully some people can relate to that. I was maybe going through a midlife crisis, maybe just looking for a purpose, but the appeal to actually build something meaningful and to have a big impact. And I see plenty of opportunities for that in Bulgaria. For me, it was the university. I really saw this as a true passion project and an opportunity to change the course of the strategy, of the future growth prospects, and to do something that I can, years later, look back upon and say, hopefully, I did a good job, and kind of give me something that gives some meaning to my life. And I see this across many industries in Bulgaria. I mean, you see how successful some entrepreneurs are in Bulgaria. You see that there's a lot of room for improvement. So on the positive side, yes. On the negative side, a lot of things need improving, but on the positive side, a lot of things need improving. So you can grab whatever you want and make it better. And to me, that was the most appealing aspect of this.
Любомир, you have a large IT business. It's one of the most booming sides of the economy in Bulgaria right now. How do you see the opportunities in Bulgaria and our potential?
Actually, similarly to what was just said, when you have a lot of challenges, there is also room for you to make a difference. There is a lot of opportunities here. And being able to identify those has been important for us. Being in the very competitive, from resource perspective, business, we really are looking for people that can make this difference, to be different, and that's a good thing. Once being already taking the step to go outside of your comfortable environment, this makes you very suitable for positions that require change, and that's something that it's difficult to go somewhere and make a change. From that perspective, similarly in our company, we're looking for people with this kind of experience that we already have a number of our colleagues that are either studied or were working outside. Even we have a trend right now of people that are not from Bulgaria coming to work here. And that's also something that's amazing. So soon you're not going to have only the competition from local people, people that grew up here, people that are coming back, but also people that are from other countries looking to come to Bulgaria. Right now we have colleagues from countries like Macedonia, Slovenia, France, United States. So we're becoming a multinational company, and it's a great environment that people can really build their careers.
How many people work in software? Roughly.
In software group or?
Software group.
In software group we're about 280, 300 people with 9 offices around the world. Majority of those are in Bulgaria. But we travel between the offices and we develop right now different regions with the intention to be a global, not so much a global company, but to dominate the market of financial systems. And that's something that definitely we need
qualified people for.
To be able to do it.
Edоардо, if I may ask you, obviously you've worked in many countries. What do you find the peculiarities of working in Bulgaria? You know, the things like everybody's 3 minutes late maybe, or some of the things that these guys will encounter when they work in Bulgaria. Is there any differences that you've noticed that are striking? Oh, that's typically Bulgarian.
Well, I don't like to put labels, and this is something that as well I learned many years ago while being a globetrotter. Okay. I usually speak to my team, and I always like to tell them that if I learned something throughout all these years that I have been living in all the different continents in the world, is that people is people, right? And people is always looking for the same thing, which is the sense of success, the sense of participation, the sense of belonging. Everyone is looking and pursuing for the same things as human beings. So in reality, I don't like to put a label, oh, that this is very Bulgarian, this is very Chinese, this is very Mexican. The reality is not. It's such each of us really to think differently. Don't put labels. Don't put ourselves into boxes. This is also something that I'm continuously in the conversations in my office telling my people, don't put yourself in a box, because you're just taking away the opportunity of something that is in front of you. So stop saying, oh, we are like that. No, it's not like that. Stop thinking that you're like that, because the world is completely different, right? And that's what we're looking, global citizens, people to think out of the box, and is continuously looking for entrepreneurial thinking and doing stuff that is not genuine or authentic, right?
Miro, would you say that you agree with that statement? Obviously, being Bulgarian, you have a different perspective, perhaps.
Well, actually, from my experience, there is a, again, talking about advantages, what makes attractive, you know, what makes Bulgaria attractive. And on a personal level, me as a person that prefers to live in Bulgaria, because I do prefer to live in Bulgaria than abroad, even though I enjoy travel very much, but also from a perspective of future employees, I think Bulgaria has some unique opportunities beyond the obvious. There is so much to be done, so clearly that's an opportunity. But also we have very professional, very qualified and hard-working people in an amazing climate, the best tomatoes and friends and family around you. I mean, to be honest, that's on a human level so important. I've lived in the north, I guess. It's, yeah, maybe you can tell, because no, but the level of sunny days and the proximity of skiing and snowboarding facilities and the beach and the friendliness, the conviviality of people coupled with their professional, trustworthy attitude. Seriously, I think it's a major advantage, and it's an advantage for you as a person who chooses where to work and where to progress in career. I think we have some beautiful, beautiful advantages. Let's not forget one that is related not to the country but to the state, because we have a lot more to do about this attractivity. But there is one, and that's taxation. So if you compare your opportunities, especially working in Europe, in a EU member country, close to everything, so we have a lot of advantages as an EU member. But at the same time, the difference between your gross and net salary is actually quite small, especially if you manage to negotiate a decent, mid-level salary. And that's not to be neglected either. I think it's quite important. I don't know about your industries, but that's also an attraction for people choosing to be in Bulgaria.
Absolutely. We have employees in the UK who get taxed 40%, and then they're really jealous of our Bulgarian ones who, get 10%. So absolutely reflected. Before I open up to the questions, because I'm sure there are questions, I just want to end a bit of more of a provocative, if you want to put it that way, question, which is, how do we change the image of Bulgaria? Sometimes we see a bit of negativity in the air, and I'd like to be positive about it. Stratzi and I talked about before the beginning, you have a slightly different perspective, and you don't want to talk about Bulgarians only. You have a sort of different perspective. If you can just touch upon sort of your thoughts there.
Yeah. I have just one example. We have a social media that is a corporate social media. We use in Pernod Ricard, and we're only 40 people in Bulgaria, but we're 18,000 in the world. So this is a great way to exchange best practice examples. People can reuse ideas and not do it twice. We mutualize a lot. So I did a little experiment. We actually tend to do really good things here, but people, it's hard to notice because we're small. It's a small country. So whenever we post examples of what was really well done, I started consistently putting a hashtag, best, bold, beautiful Bulgaria. Just to see if people will notice, if they will just, maybe on the second, third time they see something really great, say, wow, what's going on in Bulgaria? And actually they started noticing. Of course, we sometimes don't do the best things, and then we can share learnings from what we failed to do. But when we do great, I think it's important to show that it's not a strike of luck. There are very hardworking people here, and one thing that can change if there is a negative perception to a positive perception is just do your work professionally and that people can trust you. If we do that collectively in a company, in a team, in a department, in a city, in the whole country, that's probably, it's simple, but it's the main thing.
And it will not come from the sky, right? We need to work on that. Each of us needs to contribute to get it done. Yep. Each of us, and every single thing that we do, and every single activity, and as Mira was saying, if it's social media, if it's through emails, if it's through whatever, the reality is that each of us has the opportunity to become ambassadors of change, and not just continue with, we will always be thought like that, and going to your previous question, we were labeled that we are like, no, each of us have something to do and make sure that that reputation, that image, and that perception around it will be modified. So it really depends on in each of us, but we all have that power in ourselves, in our conversations, to really make a difference.
Okay, so this is really a topic that I can talk a lot about it, so don't make me started, but overall that was one of the reasons for me also coming back, seeing two things. First, that people around the world are basically not very different. What differentiates them is the way that they perceive the world and how they make a change for themselves first, and this affects people around them. So for Bulgaria specifically, we here tend to be very or quite negative and don't really value what we have. When you go to countries that we operate in, sometimes in Africa, Indonesia, and other third world countries, you can actually see that there are people out there in millions, actually more than 2.5 billion people that live in real poverty. What we have here is really a good standard, and most people don't realize this. Even our standard here, for people that are having a good job, is much higher than people on the West, if you think about. It's something that the way that we perceive what actually is a good life is that changes the way that you also think, okay, what I can do to make it better for myself and how this will affect the other. This what was mentioned about the having a purpose, to find something that you can do really well and put this as a goal, and this is not necessarily financial. It's more about, okay, do I have something that I really believe in? I'd like to make change, I'd like to improve, and having this purpose is like sometimes a mission. I have the same right now for like the company that I'm working in and I'm part of. I'd like to make a difference to become one of the top kind of global companies. And this is like a mission for me. I don't care about necessarily the financial things related to this one or other things that are related to kind of the local economy. And but you can see that this makes really difference, and everything else falls after that. From historical perspective, you can think about also something else. Bulgaria has been here for a number of centuries, for thousands of years. We've been here for a long time. We went through many changes and think we'll gradually improving. Right now, it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, but definitely we are on the positive trend. While if you think about, even the Roman Empire was only for 200 years in its power. After this, our lands for like 1,000 more years, I think, were a place to go. People really enjoyed living here in this neighborhood. So the history repeats itself. What I believe is that Bulgaria is right now in the position to really get this chance to become kind of high standard of living place. And you can see right now a lot of people. My son is in international school, and a lot of his kind of co-students' parents are from countries like Switzerland, States, Canada, Australia, and so on. They really like it here. So a lot of people actually talk about, oh, here is very poor, there is no transportation, we have no roads and stuff like this, but that's not actually true. What people find here is much more than this. And when you hear like two women from Switzerland talk, oh, it's so nice here, and you wonder, okay, you're from Switzerland, what are you talking about? So it's a little bit a matter of perspective and what you value.
I agree. Perspective is important.
I'll try to be brief. Definitely agree with everything that's said, and I think it's really like depends on every one of us. Everyone can make a difference, even if it's small, but then it piles up. It becomes an avalanche of positive attitude or actions, and I think that creates a kind of a network effect or a halo effect or whatever you want to call it, and other people value and see the benefit of being positive and constructive and solving problems rather than just complaining about them. To me, at the end of the day, if I may, with your permission, give advice to the audience, it's just don't ever lose your moral compass. I think so much of it is dependent on what you do because you believe something has to be done right. And that means ethical behavior, that means work ethic and discipline, and that means hard work a lot of times. So all of these things can become very positive in the image of the country and the environment in which we live and work and how we treat each other can be so much better if everybody just keeps being positive and working in that direction. So that's it.
I think that's a very fitting ending. Thank you guys for your time. Unfortunately, we run out of time, so I apologize for the lack of questions. Hopefully you might have a few minutes to stick around if somebody has a burning question. Let's thank have a small certificate of participation. I'll give you in a minute if you don't mind.